LCK, so much history in the coaching staff, not as much in the players here for these two squads, but let's take a look at this first draft and see what on blue side, BNK, FearX, they have that extra edge here.
Yeah.
Looking to prioritize.
So BNK, banning away the Rumble, taking it away from Doran, that makes some sense. The thing that I want to see, Wolf, and this might be crazy, I want to see BNK just ban Sion. Because I think T1 in their very last game up against Nongshim unlocked the code. The way to win. And that was put Doran on something,
hey!
hint on, and it's fine. And there it is.
There you go, Atlas.
Honestly, it's genius.
It's really smart, and it also pushes the Jace priority up a little bit higher, so we'll see if T1 want to ban that on red side here. Even though Jace is obviously incredibly strong into Sion in the lane, it doesn't give you the same sort of kill pressure and threat as a lot of other Jace matchups would. So I do think that's why we see Sion so much into Jace right now. Although I personally think Sion's in a bad state. Doran's the guy, though.
Yeah.
It will absorb the pressure and turn it into something big. They'll also target the Gwen, so 3 Doran bans here. Rumble, Sion, and Gwen taken away by BNK.
Yeah, and I assume they're angling for a Jace first pick here. Of course, it would be a flex between Vikler and Clear, but that's going to be banned, and so now they get pick of the litter.
Varus seems to be the choice. I don't associate it with...
Sejuani, though,
yeah,
also up.
I don't associate Varus that much with Diablo's playstyle.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so strong right now in this meta, and I do extremely associate it with either AD carry on T1 pushing the bottom lane, so I think taking it away from Smash here is a wise choice. This does leave the Azir over to Faker. It has been one of his best. They get the Xin Zhao. It's just a tier list setup here, but with a ton of proficiency between Oner and Faker on these two champions, so I think they're pretty happy with the rotation.
Well, Nefiri Talia seems pretty good.
Wow, it looks like we're just going to have these first 6 picks just be really strong on both sides.
Yeah.
As we have, the Talia into the Azir feels great. Varus in any lane feels great. Nefiri's in a pretty good spot when she has lane prio, which you can earn in mid lane. And the bottom lane with Varus, you're almost certain to have. So, nice draft here, but in terms of the scaling and the tier list picks, T1 feeling comfortable as well. We'll see if an AD carry gets locked here. We've seen so much Ezreal picked into Varus. Even going as back as far as first stand, where we're seeing players like Kalist pick it into Viper's Varus. They can do well in lane if the right pairing is there for the Ezreal. We'll see if this Varus pick gets protected, if they'll ban a Karma. The Alistar has just been so incredibly popular and powerful so far, so I do understand that ban as well.
Yeah, I get it. We're looking for some magic damage here from T1. That's the thing that's really missing. I don't know whether this is necessarily a Kennen game or anything like that, or whether T1... Oh, actually, never mind. They've got an Azir. What am I talking about?
Well, I mean...
Sort of losing it.
I do think that the Azir damage is going to come online a little bit later, but I think they'll be satisfied with what they have. See the Renata to be taken away here, so another lane potential bully now removed here. Will they ban Karma? It hasn't been that popular, but it has been teched into a few drafts to just guarantee that you don't get bowled over in the laning phase, now that lane swaps are, at least in the early game, removed.
Yep, Rel could also be banned. I think T1 is still looking for some sort of engage.
Yeah, because Karma in this comp doesn't really work very well because the Xin Zhao engage isn't as consistent. Sure, you have the Azir, but, that's also somewhat situational.
Poppy's up.
Yeah, this one isn't feeling very good with Poppy available and the push power that Varus has, and this is very greedy.
I like this more, though. You can fish for cocoons, things like that, and you can play really aggressive in that bottom lane. That would certainly be a good option. This is so dangerous. Keria is still going to do it.
It's so dangerous. It's so squishy into Nefiri as well. And the Poppy is up, and it's looking like it's going to be snap locked in. I mean, Talia as well, as you mentioned. And it will be a blind pick for Clear in this draft against Doran, though. If it was AS on the other side, you'd be a little bit more worried about that, I think. But Doran is just going to look to neutralize. This comp scales really well for T1. The Poppy seems like such a free pick here. They're just hovering here, trying to think about what they want to do. They ultimately decide to go for that blind Jax when Gnar is up.
Yeah, so it's probably the Gnar in answer. Clear has been another one of our top laners that's been happy to take the Jax into the Gnar matchup. Yeah. Kind of expecting that Doran's going to go there. I think the Poppy is still by far the best pick that they can lock in now.
Yeah, it's like non-negotiable. You have to lock this one in.
Yeah.
The value is too high. Maybe Kellen not comfortable on it. Kled.
The classic Kled top lane R5 lock-in here for Doran. Very understandable. We see this all the time. Currently being hovered by Keria, so not likely to happen. And there it is. So even though I kind of messed up, you know, missed the fact that there's an Azir, a lot of very consistent AP damage coming from the mid lane. They still lock in more AP for the top side of the map because it's such a good matchup to the Jax.
I do think also there's a world where Doran builds tank on this because they have the Azir damage and you're laning into a Jax, so you're really just trying to neutralize this with Gragas as a counter pick, and then, you know, at this stage, you know, you're dealing with a Nefiri, so the tankier you get, the tougher it is for her to really try to get any big edges there on the top side. I think building just standard AP is also fine, though, in this situation. I'm mostly concerned about this bottom lane and what Rakan is going to do into Taliyah Poppy in terms of setting up engages. I feel like the consistency of engage isn't there for T1, and also because the composition of BNK has that Varus for poke, they don't necessarily have to hard engage on you, because I think if T1 turn and they're the ones to counter engage with the Azir, with the Rakan, there's a lot of power there, but if I take the nameplates away, I feel like BNK very happy with what they got.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible draft that they've locked in here. You've also now taken both Taliyah and Poppy out of the pool completely. No need for even bans or anything like that. So game 2 has all of a sudden got a whole lot more exciting. But that is getting slightly ahead of ourselves. Having a look here, we'll just have to see whether Raptor is going to continue to have a fantastic performance, because I think Nefiri make or break in the early stages of the game against this T1 composition that is looking very slow and steady here as we dive into the Rift for Game 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Well, if this game was won by fan chants, then we'd have to pause the game because it's already over.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. It is it's now paused. I don't know exactly what has happened. We did at least make it onto the Rift.
I do see refs running over to the BNK side.
Yeah, or there was the camera guys running away as well.
Diablo mic.
Ah, a bit of a mic issue for Diablo. Okay, no worries.
You know, it's fitting that we get Gragas today, because it was today that they announced it's not going to be Drunken Rage anymore. It's going to be Raucous Rage. So...
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that's... Doran just wants to get it one more time.
That is going to change all of our lives, I think, if they do not have that. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do without Drunken Rage in my game. Will mean that when you have a look at the, what is it, ESRB rating? What's the acronym?
Yeah, ESRB. That's what the US one is. I don't know what it stands for.
Well, the rating normally has to say alcohol use.
Yeah.
If you use any words like that. So now at least they get to take that line out, which I think is probably pretty good.
Yeah, I think ESRB in the US. I know it's SERO in Japan. In Korea, I think it's just called the Korea Game Rating Board. I don't know what the acronym is. I don't know what Europe's is, though. I know what it looks like, but
I think we use the same one as you guys, because I seem to remember seeing it.
Entertainment Software Rating Board.
So
ESRB.
it is ESRB. Wow, I can't believe I got that acronym correct. That was, my brain normally doesn't have things off the top of it. That guy's got his passport here.
Yeah, it's the new Korean passport as well. I personally like the green older one better, but
yeah,
you know I hate change, so.
No, I understand. But also, the blue one just looks the same as mine, and so now my wife and I's passports get mixed up when it used to be mine's the blue one, hers the green one. That was so much easier.
My wife still has the green one, so.
Ah, there you go, nailed.
Yeah. I'm still safe for now.
Yeah, but they only last 10 years, so you know you'll have to get a new one sooner or later.
Well, luckily this pause happened before we had any sort of like clashing of minions and fighting or anything like that. We did have an issue with Smash's audio that actually required a chrono break because it affected the gameplay. I don't think that will be the case here. Fingers crossed. I hope I didn't just curse it, but it looked like we weren't. Like, we weren't even on a 5-point start level of, like, the game has really begun.
No, we were trying to make our way out. But to go back to our original conversation, I just found out, thanks to Daniel Orks Harrison, that the European one is the Peggy.
Peggy, that's right. Peggy 12.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so much better. Oh.
Every time I end up hitting the European trailer for a game, it's always Peggy, whatever. No.
Yeah. I like acronyms that actually make a sound, you know? Yes, ISRB. I'm not really that interested in. It's not great. If you had a mixed around the letters, you could have made something.
And European game information?
Wow.
Now that's way worse than ESRB, actually.
They really hard forced Peggy.
Yeah.
You know, they really, it's the square peg round hole.
They were like, you know what? We could go with Eggy, but we'll go with Peggy instead and make it pan-European.
Wouldn't it be Eggy?
I guess so.
If it's EGI, because like ego is EGO, right?
Yeah.
So it'd have to be Eggy, and that'd actually be kind of fine.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
I just took the the P sound away.
Well, I think we should have this one sorted out relatively quickly. Audio issues don't generally last too long, and we are
So
at least
many,
on the
though.
Rift, so we don't have to remake lobbies or anything.
I'm not trying to will a crazy series into existence via talking about a tech pause, but some of the most famous and crazy upsets that we've seen with T1 as an org over the last 4 years have involved some sort of lengthy pause. So I always go, ooh, is it one of those series? Is it going to be?
Yeah.
Usually, it's not an audio issue.
Oh my god, the Korean one's GRAC?
Yeah.
The Game Rating and Administration Committee?
Wow, I didn't know it.
There's so many words that like barely mean anything in that acronym. It's
Game Rating and
fantastic.
Administration Committee. I thought it was different than that, but I guess it's just GRAC, huh?
It's just GRAC.
Do you remember Idra Fields? Do you know? So he was Idra, or Idra, if you're asking our host, StarCraft 2.
The StarCraft player? Yeah.
He had a nickname GRAC, and then it became the nickname the Graken.
Yeah.
Because
Unleash the Graken.
Slayer's boxer famously misspelled his name, which is Greg, as GRAC. And he said, hi, GRAC. And then it just became this entire meme. So when I see GRAC...
Oh, yeah, because you always saw the lobby before the game.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were spectating, so everyone could see what they was typing to each other at the beginning of the game.
Hi, GRAC.
Yep, hi, GRAC. That is absolutely fantastic.
You know, Idra was one of those players that everybody knew because he wasn't known to be very polite at the time.
Was it Idra that was against T-Gun in the famous match with the Plague match?
That match is not in my memory. I need more details. But it could have been with T-Gun.
It was the one where
Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah. He got burrowed on, and it was a complete nightmare. And the Korean commentary was unbelievable.
That could have happened for sure.
It was. I think. Yeah, I don't know. It was a great game, and T-Gun then became a professional League of Legends player after that.
Yeah.
And I talked to him at length about how horrible that game made him feel.
As someone who lived
often on broadcast.
As someone who lived with T-Gun during some of his tougher times in StarCraft 2 when I was on the same team as him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was a tough time for a lot of people at the early days of StarCraft 2, so no shame in that.
Yep.
All right, well, we finally have the game back.
Yeah, here we are. Hi.
StarCraft 2 nostalgia away for now.
It can pause momentarily, but we may bring it back out again. It depends how T1 this early game is going to be. And I only say that because their composition is very happy to sit back and scale and just let things happen as we are charging up Piercing Arrow. And already, Keria is going to have his bone plating taken away. Great start here by B&K.
Good start.
I did not mean to rhyme that.
Yeah.
That's not a sign of things to come.
We're going to have a bit of a magnifying glass on this bottom lane, as that was a nice little set of damage layered in there by Diablo while he gets the last hit as well there. And see who gets level 2 first, looking favorable here for T1, obviously.
Wolf, I got a question. Before we get into video games and stuff like that, I just have one question. Who do you think your favorite actor is? Have you thought about that?
It's crazy because I've thought about this a lot, and it's got to be... This is going to be one that is controversial, but it might be Jim Carrey. I know he ended up being a little crazy later on, but maybe it means that like all the acting he did in the movies was just like who he really was. I don't know, but I just love a lot of the movies he's in. And Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind. He's great in serious movies. Some of the funniest things I've ever seen as a kid he was in.
Yep.
I know it's a weird choice, but I kind of always think of him first.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think for me, it's probably Gary Oldman. Anyway, we've got T1 coming under fire here as Kellen goes in, able to offer a fair bit back, though, as we can see. Diablo standing his ground quite nicely. Oh, we've got a beautiful Jim Carrey picture here that's been put up in our little, what is it, teleprompter.
Yeah.
Very, very cute.
Our teleprompter is no longer just text only.
It is not. It's an interactive whole system now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. All right, there's a flash forward. Not able to get the heroic charge stun, though, against the wall. The Smash still burning down. I think they achieved what they wanted to, but I think they would have really liked for Kellen to actually nail that stun.
Yeah, I think also they would have really liked, I think Diablo missed that cannon right after that happened as well, so. Sad times, but at least getting the lane control that you're supposed to get with Varus and Poppy into the Rakan lane as a bit of a 3v3 though.
Yeah, or it's just a 1v1 and then a 2v2 as now they're looking to try and turn it onto Smash. That is the kill going over though as Smash does go down. Keria unable to get in front or stop anything there as the flash from Oner and he cannot follow Raptor as Faker goes in and will be able to finish off the doggo. A little bit aggressive to then go for the crab, but Faker investing the flash. 2 for 2 in the end.
Well, bit of an action-based early game here, and a lot of hands moments in that one, I think, was the real story about this, but you could see how much that mid-prio does really matter in these big early game skirmishes, as the skirmish became really big as it just kind of extended forever there, and then Faker was able to come in and get that kill. As it all starts off here with Raptor trying to control Scuttle, Oner is challenging. Kellen ends up taking a ton of damage, actually, trying to rotate in here. As if he went down, he would have never been there in time. So kind of rocking a hard place there, but does end up getting the nice engagement on the Smash. Now watch the Smash also commits the flash here, still ends up dying. Keria also flashing in the exchange, a little bit unfortunate there as Oner just reads this so well, also has the eye that he can nearly kill his opposition. Doesn't have the damage quite to finish him off, but I think they're happy with what happened in the end because the kill goes over to the Azir, in fact, so yeah. No flash on the Naafiri, no flash on basically anyone on T1 except Doran, who wasn't involved obviously in that exchange. Keria flashing in that exchange was a little bit weird too. So again, Smash now both down flash in a lane which can be pretty tricky to play out.
Yeah, this one could get pretty ridiculous. And that means, again, that's a double for Diablo. So their duo kills has now gone up to 11 here in like the first 3 weeks of the LCK. That is unbelievable from this very new bottom lane, right? Like, Kellen's been around for a long time, but Diablo, this is his first season in the LCK. Yeah, very impressive.
Back when we were commentating him in Challengers, we were like, okay, rough around the edges, but he's so incredibly young. He's got so much time. As Kellen goes in again.
High value Q there, landing onto both of them. Does get the Arcane Shift out of Smash as Diablo sidestepping everything ever. And just walks past Keria, going aggressive, finds the Blighted Quiver, and Smash taking a lot of damage there. Of course, this is the lethal tempo variety of Varus, but Diablo is playing up so incredibly far. That is a brilliant flick here from Vikla as Raptor just immunes the Emperor's Divide, and Faker having to deal with a big old wall. And he has no flash, he has no way out, and that is Vikla answering the kill that he picked up earlier, and Raptor even getting kill credit.
Are BK good? Like, I think this team is actually quite solid, to be honest with you, Atlas. At the beginning of the year, we weren't sure, but they have really shown up in their last few games, and this early game has been phenomenal from them.
Prior to first stand, we thought that this might be the worst team in the LCK.
Yeah, and we also thought it might be like one of the worst teams like that we've seen in several years, but it is really turned around. Just goes to show you end up getting the right direction and players, you know, start to gel with each other. Things can change very rapidly. We do love their draft, but I don't think the draft plays too much into how well this early game has gone. As Kellen's looking for more here.
Oh dear, Smash going to be interrupted as Kellen does not want to continue the aggression, just wants to make sure that he has to go home. Staggers the backs as well so that Smash and Keria are going to be off kilter a little. And now Kellen,
no way, not again.
God, is he going to buckler him?
Well, he stopped his channel, so even if he doesn't touch him,
that's going to be this whole wave gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Dunzo, and that's going to be a plate as well, going over to Diablo, see if he gets it solo here. I think he will.
Yep, there it is.
125, and that's a ton of money in this Varus. It's already up 600 gold. You pick the Ezreal into this, but you also pick the Rakan into the open Poppy, and they are definitely feeling the weight of that decision in this early game.
And, I mean, Taliyah was already locked. It was already a difficult scenario. And they decide to lock the Rakan. They could have just left Keria's pick until last, right? Saw exactly what was on show. And they could have picked a top lane Poppy for Doran, which would have been totally fine. It's a great matchup into the Jax. Then you've got your own steadfast presence, a tank for Doran. Everyone's happy. But as it stands, the Rakan hasn't been able to do too much. Still very early in the game, and Keria having engage is going to be very important. As Clear going to go aggressive against Doran, but Doran just neutralizing the matchup as best he can. Oner coming over and being annoying as well. His ins out, absolutely legendary as he goes in onto Raptor here. The bleed's starting to do some work though. Red buff versus blue. Keria moving in, but so is Kellen. Wind becomes lightning, and the doggo becomes frightened.
This is just another one of those examples of why Oner's judgment skills are so incredibly good. He knows that Faker has ult advantage over Vikla. Vikla can't join the fight, and Faker could actually stop him easily if he tried to. So even though he didn't have Prio, technically, it wasn't pushing the wave over. He knows he has a ton of power here to try to harass and push in. Doesn't end up leading to anything too significant, but just showcasing a great understanding of the game state, and some pressure was applied. We didn't get a replay of it. I was thinking we probably would, but man, that play that we saw earlier with Vikla, the positioning of the shove onto Faker was fantastic because it made it so that, you know, in best case scenario, Faker does avoid it by walking towards him. He's walking the wrong way. He ends up getting caught by it anyways. The follow-up was so good there. And Faker just a little bit too far up in the lane in a matchup that can really be quite volatile if you step too far forward. Again, you were kind of saying Vikla's looking better again here into another great mid laner.
Yeah. There's a cask actually out here from Doran as we're checking in on this topside matchup. Doran looking to go a little bit aggressive as well as both ultis were exchanged. So not exactly a huge advantage happening on either side, clear with a few minions.
Yeah, unfortunately, Doran's not getting the counter value out of this Gragas I think he was looking for. Down 10 CS, down almost 300 gold. The bottom lane is a disaster, obviously. And then in mid, Vikla has that slight edge in CS as well. So looking really good here in the early game. It's only a 700, 800 gold lead right now for BFX, or BNK rather, but it's still a significant advantage, and you need to snowball that type of advantage when you're playing into the Azir spikes later on, the 2-item spike for the Ezreal. So let's see if they can snowball this game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those moments where you're like, they're doing a really good job now, and this game, this series could be a blowout in favor of T1 if we've learned anything from previous years of this roster. All rosters very, very similar to it. But I want to take this moment to really celebrate that BNK are just so much better than what we were expecting.
Yeah, for real. It's such a glow up.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy to champion that for any
100%.
team in any region. To see improvement is, weirdly enough, somewhat rare. To see big improvement this fast as well is almost unheard of. So it makes you wonder like what they could look like when we move into round 3. You know?
Not to mention the fact that, you know, Kellen, so, like, oftentimes you're like, oh, this is a known quantity. We know what this player can do. Kellen's an example of that, right? Where it felt like he kind of had his shot and blew it. But now he's kind of trying to reinvent himself. Clear as well, his debut in the LCK wasn't what we wanted out of this player that was so good in Challenger. But finally we're starting to see that. And Raptor you'd already spoken about earlier on, but I think him and Gideon are really livening up our jungle pool here in the LCK that was feeling extremely top-heavy last season. There's so much to be excited about, not to mention the fact that Vikla is actually holding his own and Diablo is like a prodigy.
So when we zoom out here too, talking about the game at hand, you know, it's 2 objectives taken for BNK because they got 6 grubs with a Jax, by the way, so a bit scary. No grubs for the Azir in a side means Faker can't Faker as hard as he normally does, where, you know, he draws a bunch of aggro, threatens turrets, and they have 3 kills. So one more objective, which they could take this dragon here. They have some prio for it. Would just give them feats of strength here. BNK really snowballing this game incredibly well.
Yeah, look at Diablo, just frontlining, trying to stop Keria from being able to do anything. He flashes, will be able to charm up to Varus, but where's the follow-up? The cask will come in, but it gets Diablo to relative safety. Now he's trying to get some auto attacks across as now Oner goes in. Does have the safety of the Crescent Guard as Keria dives forward once again. These health bars are so low, and Smash is now on the board. There is the pickup as Clear dives in, and he's gonna have to get immediately back out. There's the T1 team fighting, and I think we're gonna have to stop singing the praises of BNK.
I think about 7 flashes were used in that team fight. It was either 7 or 8. I'm not sure about Kellen with the Hex Flash. We'll have to watch the fight back, but a lot of action on this one. I don't think BNK really did themselves any favors with how they were trying to set up here. They had the control ward vision, so they should have known Keria's engage range is there. And even though they spend 2 flashes to dodge the initial part of his engage, he still gets a ton of value, and so much damage is layered through. Now Clear has to make a decision, you know, do I go on to Faker? Do I actually go in? What's the actual plan here? He knows Keria doesn't have flash, that arrow does connect, and the Raptor goes in hoping for the ult reset to turn this fight, but he also just ends up dying, and Clear does flash out. So huge win here for T1, and that was what I was going to say before this. We were talking about the lead, and you were kind of alluding to it like, well, they have a lead now, so let's talk about it while we can. T1 is the type of team that will punish you so hard, and they have so much experience, regardless of who's on the roster with Faker. Faker's calls have been legendary, and I think T1 saw that while they didn't have any control, BNK were super greedy with their positioning there. They had an angle, and that's why Keria picks the Rakan here. He's like, we don't have great engage. I can make something happen into this team comp with the right settings, and that was the right setting.
Yep, and also, like, to make the Taliyah Poppy work, in order to shut down the Rakan, you do need to press your buttons in the right order. You do need to have things available at the right times. And you've, yeah, it is sort of something that Kellen and Vikla do need to get in order to make sure that Keria is useless. So that last play, Keria, absolutely fantastic. And this is something we've seen him do in the past, right? Sometimes he is punished for it. Other times, he just finds the angle where other players maybe wouldn't. It's clear. Throws down the ulti here, looking to go aggressive against Doran, who does have the body slam available. And once again, it just seems like Doran wants to keep all of the ultimates in the bottom lane or in the side lane just as on cooldown as possible.
Yeah, it's one of the ways you can get a positive trade on the Jax. Forces clear to try to trade back a little bit, but Gragas has so much sustain. It's really hard to actually get any sort of edge into him as the Jax unless you have a massive lead. He is going Rod of Ages on this Gragas, so not the tank build, but will, of course, be a little bit tankier and have a little bit more sustain for that lane with the Rod of Ages build.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to go more AP than just this. Oftentimes you'll see like a Rod of Ages built up just for the early game. Of course, you know, Catalyst is pretty bonkers when it comes to the laning phase. But then you can go tank after that if you'd like to. And it looks like Doran has instead decided to fully commit. Does, of course, have the Comet as well, which kind of gives away the fact that he wants to be going for a little bit more damage. Yeah. But I don't know whether he necessarily needed to. Like, they do have Ezreal Azir, which is a lot of consistent damage late game in teamfights, so he could have gone tank if he would have liked. But having a triple threat as far as the damage is concerned is still going to be very valuable moving later into the game.
That ward is pretty interesting there. The observers just highlighted behind the top turret for B&K. We'll give them a little bit of additional information about who's heading to the top side lane of science. It could be a teleport flank angle. Again, unlikely, but I guess it is theoretically possible for that to happen if it isn't seen.
Yeah.
Vikla going to push Faker out of the lane. We'll just teleport right back in. Kellen probably seen here. Yeah, Keria's tracking him.
And Keria is going to find him. Steadfast Presence going to come on over as he just bonks the Rakan away, but Kellen's going to have to do a little bit more to escape this one. And in order to escape, he decides the Death Chamber is going to be the best route. So a little bit overly aggressive as far as the Poppy positioning.
If there isn't a ward there and he isn't seen, could be way better as Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo. Good sidestep to start this one off, but the Grand Entrance not quite working. Still, Diablo flashes, gets the Chains of Corruption down, and just does the do-si-do and gets out. Never mind, there is a Xin Zhao coming in. However, there's a turret here. How did that work?
I mean, he held his flash for so long, and when he flashed after like not flashing the Emperor's Divide, I was like, really, you're gonna flash this? But he knew, man. He's like, I actually have just enough space here. My teammates are in just the right spot. I don't flash the Emperor's Divide, but if I flash towards my teammates, they have just enough time to escape there. Dodges everything. Still has not died this game. Doesn't have the lead he had anymore because unfortunately some of the other disasters that have happened have led to Smash picking up 2 kills here and 3 assists. So doesn't have a lead anymore, but he is now kind of the hope of B&K. It was a great start, was helping Snowball, but now feels like all the eggs are in his basket in terms of win cons later on.
Well, Rift Herald has been started up. Keria going to move on in. She loses patience though, as now Oner looking to come round. Let's see what is actually going to eventuate as here Vikla and Faker are fighting, and Vikla getting the best end of it at this point in time. Raptor thinking about rotating over as the Dragon's up as well. There are plenty of objectives to go for, but there are feats of strength going over to B&K as first turret goes down. Second is soon to follow. It's Faker also going down extraordinarily low and taken out here by Vikla on the top side of the map. This is 6 grubs at play right now, ladies and gentlemen, and B&K playing towards it very nicely as Kellen possibly in trouble here as well. Last Mystic Shot not going to connect there as T1 still with a slight deficit, only about 500, but the upgraded shoe's going to feel nice here for B&K Furex moving into the mid game.
It's like B&K did they not get that top turret? That's wild. Should go down.
That's what we call an investment.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't quite paid off yet, but they've certainly, yeah, the money's in there as Vikla somehow avoids getting hit by the True Shot Barrage and then just shoves away the Xin Zhao.
I mean, it looks like Keria and Smash were trying to push onto Diablo and Kellen after the trade they got in the mid lane and weren't able to come up and rotate to save Faker. As Faker had a little bit of turret health left and was otherwise feeling like, you know, maybe I can hold off here against a dive, but there was a bit of a split, so he ends up going down. This turret should likely fall in just a moment, but that 6 grub, Jax got the work done in the bottom lane. And so far, still maintaining because of that turret and that play there on the Faker. A gold lead right now for BNK is Doran isolated.
Oh dear. Doran gonna have to contend with this big old wall on the bottom side. Does flash to get over it. That will at least get him to safety. It was a long lane, so it could have been a kill opportunity, but BNK unable to catch up with the very agile large gentleman.
Yeah, he's quicker than he looks.
Certainly is.
As we do see BNK grouping to potentially take their first dragon of the game.
All right, clear with the counter-strike as he walks away. Faker still playing pretty aggressively here towards the top side. 2 kills for the Azir. Certainly going to be good moving into the later stages.
I would not want to try to be playing games with an Azir as a Jax up there too hard.
Yeah.
As that, you know, I think he really wants to get that turret, but he just will not be able to do so right now.
Yeah, and he already picked up first turret, so actually if he gets solo local gold for that turret as well, the 600 gold lead that we can see is going to be even larger despite the CS deficit.
Because they went for that play on the Doran, they kind of lost a little bit of Dragon Prio here, and T1 are actually just going to start this one up. Faker's rotating down, does have teleport as well, but doesn't look like he's going to need it.
Yeah, Raptor gets in as, all right, Smash going to be evicted from the fight, but it should be back relatively quickly here, so Keeper's Verdict not really finding the value that they really want. It looks like T1 with control of this at the moment. Raptor gonna have to get out, and Keria still holding onto the quickness. BNK, I think intelligently, just playing for the side lane. Clear gonna be able to take down this turret, and they lose the 3rd Drake. That is Soul Point going over to T1.
Yeah, it really did look like there was maybe an angle there for BNK, especially because Faker wasn't able to quite get into the pit, but the Keeper's Verdict didn't hit the target I think they were hoping for. You know, if you end up hitting the jungler there, you can make a play around it, but knocking away the Ezreal, who was already so difficult to collapse on and punish anyways, and he can get back so quickly, just didn't feel too helpful. But they, like you said, still get the turret, still get that side lane pressure, but this does give T1 Soul Point. If it were a more valuable soul, this would feel a lot better for T1, but still a big win con. As we saw yesterday, sometimes that Ocean Soul, you've got a Rumble on an Elder fight, can be pretty crazy. Azir will enjoy it as well if he has the right setup.
Oh, let's not talk about yesterday's second series, okay, Wolf?
Yeah, maybe just not talk about yesterday in general.
Yeah, it was quite stressful. As a fan of both of the teams, I was both disappointed in equal measure.
It's, you know, the Beatles,
for both.
They had that song Yesterday,
yeah.
They long for yesterday.
I was getting my haircut today, and that song came on, actually.
Oh, that's great. I feel like they should have had one that was like, I don't long for yesterday.
Yeah. All my troubles seemed so right there in front of me.
This is an Otacon take, by the way, in trade for a Herald, and BNK are very late to respond. TP coming over. I don't know if T1 could stick this, but they at least get the TP out. Doran, though, has to match.
Yep, there are teleports coming in from everywhere as Kellen doesn't have his ulti up. Finds a heroic charge, though, onto Keria, trying to get him out of there as it is going to be the Otacon secured by the Xin Zhao. And he's also trying to take down Raptor on the back end, who gets a whole bunch of health back, and they're just sending them home as quickly as possible. Smash right in there, but Kellen finds the heroic charge. It's just not quite enough as Vikla with a big old shield is going to say goodbye, Mr. Smash. And there's a seismic shove. Good sidestep from Doran, but that's a turret, buddy. That ain't gonna work. And Diablo's like, I got Shelly, and I'm gonna take her for a walk.
Diablo wasn't there for the whole fight, and it ended up being a big boon for them in the end because he gets the full extra crash into the inner. So much turret gold going over to BNK. Faker looking for the punish, and he will be successful. But it feels like a consolation prize as T1's Otacon buffs pretty much just on the floor.
Yeah, they're gone.
So look at where the Varus is right now. He's up in the top side of the map, doesn't have teleport, so going for the contest here is just an emergency attempt here. Raptor trying to flash and look for the steal. If he gets the steal, by the way, might have been game winning. He's not able to get it though. It is secured by Oner, and then Vikla, he does some heavy lifting in this fight with Kellen's support here. Ends up taking Smash out just barely, and then Doran just sits under turret. Is over here, Doran again.
In the meantime, Diablo is going to get cast in, and now Raptor in a bit of trouble as well as T1 like a freight train moving down this mid lane. It's not quite enough to get them any more than the kill onto Vikla and onto Kellen.
Can they
I think
trade
we
it?
missed one of those.
Can they trade it for an inner? Looks like the answer is yes. There's just no
Six
answer at
grubs,
all.
Wolf.
Yeah.
6 grubs.
These Fakers down here doing some damage to this one, and I don't think Vikla can clear this wave fast enough, so they will still pick that one up. It's a big old trade of turrets, but because this Jax has 6 grubs, because Clear is so massive in this game that these fights, even though it's still technically a trade up for T1, at least they're able to get something back. So it feels good for BNK. The best of the worst scenario here is Doran really living for quite a long time there in a very precarious situation, but he's the one who sets up the siege so they can guarantee this turret as Faker decides to stop channeling his back as soon as the Jax hits the top side turret. So they get that inner, they get the outer mid in trade for that top turret that Clear takes out. Still a dead even game in gold now, but I think the scaling is really starting to work in T1's favor.
Yeah. As this game goes on, it's going to take some more funny business here by BNK to get their Jax into a side lane, put T1 in these awkward scenarios, and with Soul Point for the rest of the game at least, T1 are going to be feeling in pretty comfortable standing as far as dealing with it is concerned. Dragon's not going to be anything that they really need to worry about at all.
Needs to be in these fights doing damage. He did go for lethal tempo, of course. We haven't really talked about it too much, but he's the one who can do a long-term damage later on.
2-level advantage now that Rod of Aegis is complete.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's kind of crazy. This is a Jax who's just been kind of AFK in the side lane for most of this game, and he still has a 2-level deficit. Diablo needs to be able to layer that damage in for team fights to work here for BNK. So we'll see what the next one is going to look like. A 16 is hit here for Vikla as well. 10 seconds until that soul fight if T1 commit to it.
Yeah, I think as well, I think the Keeper's Verdict has to be good and the wall has to be good. Because Diablo needs space to be able to get auto attacks down and they without just being, caved in on by T1. As in goes Raptor looking for an angle. There's that Keeper's Verdict we were talking about, but it will be cancelled. Counter-strike onto Keria, who does have the quickness running, but he's on the steadfast presence at the moment. Doran finds the angle, but he's going to immediately get heroic charge. Goes Golden, trying to stay alive as Faker on the flank. He's able to lock down the doggo, but look at Diablo popping off, going nuts in the back line, and Smash not going to be able to stand up against this Varus. Sitting at below half health, it's Faker who is healthy still in this fight as the Arcane Shift gets Smash out of that seismic shove, and Faker now might be caught off on the side. Kellen with that Hex Flash, not able to lock down Faker, who now has his flash on cooldown.
Faker still has ult, so he really wants to rejoin his teammates here and try to make that play happen to control this dragon. See the back here for Vikla. He does have teleport. They do not want to give this Ocean Soul over to T1, and they will, I think, commit him straight back into the fight. There he is, TP already dropped down.
Yep, Vikla making his way back in. True Shot Barrage just narrowly avoided there by Diablo. I was expecting that one to land, actually.
It's a 3v3.
You see it does just hit.
It's a 3v3 of the same roles here. Kellen's so low on health. Finally, a TP comes through here for Clear as we are really turning this into an extended fight.
This is going to be a 5v4, though. It's in goes Kellen before anyone even arrives, and the seismic shove so good. Smash locked down, and now Faker realizing that he has to make the master play. He takes down the Poppy, but I just don't think it's going to be enough as Raptor. He is going in. The bleed not quite going to be enough as Oner is still there. I think the Dragon should now go over to BNK. But man, what is it with the T1 series this week, Wolf?
It's just been so close when people would argue they shouldn't be, but BNK really running away with this one in a lot of ways here. It's not over by any means, but the fact that it's this close is super exciting, especially with Diablo's playing this well. Is 0 deaths on this Varus. You watch this fight initially, you're like, man, onto an Ezreal, like the Weaver's Wall engage onto an Ezreal, as he gets hit, but he doesn't take any damage and gets away. It looks initially like, oh, this is going to be a fight that they can turn with Keria and Doran, but look at the damage dealers. Vikla and Diablo untouched in this fight. Doran can't heal, can't do anything here, and Diablo is just making the health bars disappear. Keeper's Verdict knocks Faker away, which is kind of awkward. He does eventually rejoin for this fight here in this skirmish. That's Kellen snap engage to push Faker, or rather to push Smash into the wall. That ends up winning them this fight. Faker goes in looking for an Emperor's Divide angle that he just does not have. The reset comes through for Raptor, and I think he regrets his decision, but still is able to keep Keria away. They secure the Dragon, deny that soul here for T1, and inject a little bit of gold and a little bit of longevity into this composition. It still has that Jax with 6 grubs. And we're now looking for Baron Vision Control, that one pesky ward actually just out of range of both of those control wards. Really nicely placed.
Yeah, Keria getting the daggers stacked up here as the bleed going down. Does have some honey fruit that you can eat if you would like, as Raptor continuing to just try and keep his control wards alive.
Doran is about to have his TP back.
Yeah.
Could look for a flank angle, but just going to rejoin here through mid for now as they continue to contest vision.
Do you know what? This is a 0-6 Poppy that I really want to give POM if BNK win this series.
I mean, he's had some incredible moments for sure.
Yeah, man.
I'm kind of leaning towards Diablo right now, though, because his positioning has been so good.
Oh, scoreline Steven over here.
Oh, I mean, come on. He's had some fantastic positions.
No, he has. He's been absolutely incredible.
Like his outplay on the Faker earlier.
I think I'm just really proud of Kellen. As Vikla, he's going in. Seismic Shove doesn't quite land here as Arcane Smash, Arcane Flash over the wall as Keria into that backline finds the quickness, but there's not a lot of follow-up. Still the rest of T1 able to pull themselves back together. No one dead on the back end, but you can see Clear is very, very low. No teleport to get him back into any fights. As Raptor utilizing that mobility.
This is a huge tempo advantage for T1 now. Faker just set up a Sun Disc if he wants here, and they can look to try to start a Baron and force BNK to rotate over. This is T1's comfort zone right now, and they are going to just go ahead and start this Baron up.
Yeah. There is a ward over the wall here, but no Vikla's teleport is up in a second.
And no Sun Disc turret either for Faker, so they can't hold the wave.
Oh, they're keeping it leashed. They are going to back away. Doran relatively low, and the rest of BNK now moving in. Not having to invest any teleports is kind of nutty here as Diablo in the front line. I love this zoom in from our observers. I think we know who the main character is for BNK right now, and that is this Varus. Faker moves over very aggressively here, but not going to be any sort of answer here to the Azir.
This is why T1 is so scary, man. You give them just a tiny tempo advantage, and then it looks like maybe they can just take a Baron and win the game, right? And BNK keep them honest there, though. They are able to rotate over and deny it. T1 do not overcommit to the play.
I'd like to point your eyes to the Diablo items.
Yeah, he has 4 of them and upgraded shoes. He may get even more upgraded shoes later on.
Real severely upgraded shoes?
He does shoot fast, and it hurts a lot when he does it.
Yeah. I'm really getting that vibe.
He's level 16 now. And he is ready to carry. And you know what? The picking the Ezreal into this so far hasn't felt great. But with the right, scenario, with the right setup for T1, Smash is doing a lot of damage. And it's those exchanges where T1 have made this game still incredibly close. Yeah, but now T1 have lost Prio on the Baron. And they're going to have to play around the fact that there's a 1-minute timer on that Ocean Soul again. And see if they can, basically tempt BNK to come over there as... another ward.
Yep. Yeah, is being quite annoying. As Diablo is just demonstrating, haha, I have Bloodthirster. So
I could do it if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Still, that ward position is really bad for BNK.
Faker does have an arm guard for this fight. And
they're going to get spotted, but he flashes on top of Smash. Raptor going untargetable, flashes on in as well. Smash going down low, but he's not dead just yet. It's only Kellen that's caught up to him and needs another auto to be able to take him down. There's the cue to finally find it. The rest of BNK trying to dive on top of Faker as it's a 1-for-1, but support for AD Carry. I think BNK would take it unless they can kill Clear, who finally finds himself out of position. Seismic Shove as also Doran's in trouble, but he has the Zhonya's to keep himself at least alive for now.
Faker used his teleport so he can't back and TP back. I think they're very aware of that. They're just going to stick this dragon, take it out here. T1 can't contest. And when Smash is dead and Faker's your only damage, he's sitting at 1/3 health. It's just so hard to play out anything here for T1, and 2 dragons back-to-back do go the way of BNK. Not a big enough edge in the fight, though, to turn that into Dragon and Baron, as T1 don't make the mistake of overcommitting. As Faker has TP, he has this ward that's dropped here, and he's going to come into the fight with Emperor's Divide right away. Also has Arm Guard, so it's a pretty low-risk play, but it's again Kellen who makes the engage onto an Ezreal that wins the fight here for BNK, and then Faker, unfortunately, because of that teleport, finds himself at the wrong side of the fight, takes too much damage, and then can't carry the follow-up. And both the Azir and the Ezreal now out of the fight.
And it was a 3-man Emperor's Divide there as well from Faker, but unfortunately, he didn't get rid of Commando Kellen in the backline, who just wasted the Ezreal in exchange for his own life, of course, but
well worth it.
Yeah, and it also like kind of kept things even, as it was 0, 6, and 6. Now 1-7 and 6, so it's still a very even 1 KDA, which we love to see.
It's crazy how exciting this game has really ended up to being. It's not a slow slugfest either. It's just constant fighting, constant positional decisions by both teams. But like the fact that BNK are making all the right calls in these really difficult situations against one of the teams that obviously has the most veteran player in the world, the greatest of all time, shot calling it, is just crazy to see. You know, BNK, a team that has had big leads and is fallen on its face so many times this year, but not so far in this one, keeping it super interesting as Diablo's damage is real. He's got the Bloodthirster you mentioned earlier. They can start this Baron.
Yeah, Oner can move in as well. Already sweeping things out here, and I think going for a smite fight against Oner is something you don't want to do. Doran has teleported in. Do manage to get that cooldown. Certainly going to be an important one here as there's a flick onto Keria. If they explode the Rakan, things could be a problem, but Chains of Corruption not enough to lock him down.
Still, he's incredibly low now.
Oh, Vikla out of position here. He does have to flash to avoid the explosive cask. Doran gonna have that one up very, very soon as well, as Vikla's not done yet. Wants to throw down the wall as everyone gets over. Smash still standing forward. Arcane Shift invested, but we'll have that one back as well.
It's just such an incredibly hard composition to lock down with a wall or with anything, with how mobile it is.
Yeah, you really have to have a follow-up after the attempted engage if you want to get anything done. Level 16 here for Smash. That True Shot Barrage starting to hurt. There it is onto Vikla. Fair bit of damage there.
There we go.
Backline goes Keria. Vikla in so much trouble, but he has the Seraph Shield, and he's able to weather the storm. Now Clear getting solo ulted from Faker, and Clear still wanting to find the angle. They get on top of Smash yet again. They'll trade the Jax for him this time, although they don't finish off the Ezreal. Chains of Corruption doesn't land as well as Diablo. He's gonna have to find Doran. There's the hail of arrows, and he's gonna need to stand his ground, and it does not work. He flashes, trying to get out. He kills Faker, but at what cost, ladies and gentlemen? Vikla's still alive, but he's the only one, and T1 will take the Baron.
It's the first death of Diablo, but it's the most critical kill here for T1. You saw watching this fight take place, Keria knows there's no vision, comes in here for the flank, but look at the placement of this wall here from Vikla. It means that Faker can't get the follow-up Emperor's Divide, and the initial part of this fight actually looks really good here for BNK, but they try to link up with Clear and over-chase a little bit here into the pit. Vikla is so incredibly low. Faker flashes to go in and finish him off. He doesn't die, but he's forced out of the fight, and now there's just no peel for this Varus. And Doran does his job well. Sure, goes gold in here and isn't able to get him himself, but he buys enough time for the rest of the team to follow up and clean up house. T1, the clutch team fight. Never count this team out, especially the cold lead as minuscule as it was. They will make the proper plays. Keria was so low, finds that flank angle. They cut the team in half as Clear is disconnected. And now T1 fully in control of this game.
That's a locket of the Iron Solari that Diablo just went home and purchased.
He said he's tired of taking damage.
Yeah.
And also his teammates taking damage as well.
And now they've got the double shields to bring into the team fights here. That's a choice you could make. I absolutely love it.
I mean, with how much damage Vikla is capable of doing and how much damage he has pretty consistently done these fights, I think you're like, I've got enough damage items, you know?
Yep.
Defensive sounds good.
Let's try and keep ourselves healthy. There's a flash in from Kellen once again. And Smash finds himself in trouble. Clear getting into the backline. Faker goes golden, but it means he can't help. Still, Vikla's going to get taken out. Raptor diving on top of the Azir, but Faker's just going to kill him. The doggo's dead. Down goes the Rakan, but that doesn't matter. T1 with Baron now have got 4 on the floor, and it's only Clear that can try and help out, and Doran's even going to deal with that problem. Using that Zhonya's just because he can.
Faker still has Baron buff, of course, so he's just going to TP bottom. They're trying to turn this into a double inhibitor play here, potentially. Think maybe just go mid, and they just realize that's probably the better play, because there's 30 seconds left on both these damage dealers. This game looks like it's about to end as Doran's denying Clear from returning home, and I think T1 have done it.
Yep, T1... I think, you know, it was a difficult scenario throughout most of this game as Clear is going to miss the flash and then just says, well, the game is over anyway. The Nexus will get taken.